Hello everyone, and I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing you something Telltale Games, Transformers, and more. So today is, I'm so glad this has finally come. Today we are going to be discussing, for our next analysis video, this is going to be an everything you need to know about for The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 3, Broken Toys. In this everything you need to know about episode, we will be covering the episode 3 launch trailer and dissecting everything we can learn from it, as well as 2 pieces of leaked concept art and the episode 3's achievements. Now, just as a warning, there will be some major spoilers discussed, not like super major as regards to like character deaths, but there will be some, like, we will be talking about one new character that will be introduced in this episode according to leaked concept art and a trailer, and we may be talking about potential spoilers through the achievements. So if you do not want to, if you want to go into this episode completely unspoiled, do not watch this video, or at least, yes, just do not watch this video at all. So, just for starters, we are going to be discussing the episode 3 launch trailer, which was just released yesterday afternoon, and I got super excited about this trailer if you saw my reaction yesterday, so I'm gonna go ahead and play for y'all one more time in case you haven't seen it yet.
Don't make this harder than it needs to be, okay? I just want to know where Lily took my people.
It doesn't matter. Lily will never give them up.
You don't need to watch this.
I want to.
Alright, what's the plan?
Our only hope is to distract them while we sneak on board.
I have something I need you to see, so you can understand what you're asking. If you want my help, try and walk with them.
There are 3 kind of eyes, Clem. There are live people eyes, and there's monsters eyes. And then there are alive people eyes right as you kill them. Like you blew a candle out.
Here we go.
The only way you're gonna save your people is to let us take them.
Hey, Sweet Pea.
Okay, so this trailer starts off with a scene that we've seen before in the screenshots that we've gotten already for episode 3. The trailer, the first 10 to 20 seconds of this trailer start with Clementine and AJ approaching Abel inside the basement of the Erickson school. We saw this through 2 screenshots in episode 3 that was courtesy of the Epic Game Store, in which Clementine and AJ are essentially torturing Abel for the location of Lily's group and as to how they can get Violet/Lewis, Sim, and Omar back. So their little interrogation of Abel starts off with Clementine throwing a bucket of water in Abel's face to wake him up, and she basically tells Abel that she just wants to know where Lily took her group, as we see a little flashback to the end of episode 2 when Lily escapes with the Erickson school with Lewis/Violet, whoever he didn't save at the end of episode 2, and as well as Sim and Omar. As we're doing this, Abel taunts Clementine by saying that no matter what she does to Abel, Lily won't give Violet and the rest of the gang up, or whoever you didn't save at the end of episode 2. So, of course, this pisses off Clementine, which we see her lighting one of Abel's cigarettes, very menacingly, in which she then says, after she lights it, she says to AJ, "You don't need to watch this," but of course, AJ, being the little fucked up kid he is, wants to watch it. And so, this is very similar to when Kenny killed Carver at the end of season 2, episode 3, in which Kenny said the exact same thing to Clementine before he beat Carter to death with a crowbar, and we, as Clementine, had the option to say either, no, I want to stay and watch you kill him, or you can go ahead and leave and let Kenny kill him by himself and Rebecca. So, I wonder if this scene will be determined depending on whether or not you've given AJ dibs to kill Abel back in episode 2, or maybe even not. Maybe it just depends on how you treated AJ, or maybe even not, like, maybe AJ will say, no, I want to stay no matter what, but then maybe there'll be a question, like, maybe after this, maybe that scene where I talked about in the screenshots of Clem and AJ sitting on the rock in the forest, maybe that's Clem talking to AJ about, hey, so how'd you feel about me torturing Abel? And then AJ will say either, oh, well, it was kind of scary, I didn't want to do it, or, oh, if maybe it felt really good, like, Abel was an asshole, he deserved what he got. That's what it seems like to me that's with this scene. So, of course, after AJ says he's fine with staying around to watch Clem torture Abel, we see her press the cigarette to Abel's face, and as Abel screams, we see AJ just look in complete, like, it's scary, like, to see, like, looks like AJ's almost in awe watching Clem torture Abel, and that does not sit well with me, wanting to make sure AJ doesn't become Carver 2.0 by the end of this game. After that scene, we see this shot of Clementine walking through the courtyard of the Erickson school after their battle with Lily and her gang. We see a bunch of all their defenses destroyed, burned walkers, and I think you can see Mitch's dead body there somewhere. Anyway, after that, it cuts to a shot of Clementine, Lewis, Ruby, and Ted all around, with Lewis asking Clem what they're gonna do now that Lily's kidnapped Violet, Sim, and Omar. So as he's doing that, Clementine says we just need to find a way to sneak on board and get them back. And as we see Clementine and Lewis scouting out Lily's base, in which I am proud to say it is on the river, but not quite just a base next to the river. Lily's base is actually an old, like, cruise ship, or just any ship at all. And if Clementine and AJ torturing Abel was any indication, this episode feels like it's ripped straight from The Walking Dead Michonne. If you remember or never played The Walking Dead Michonne, the main antagonist of the series, Norma, her group of which was called Monroe, was a series of small boats and boats houses that lived in this lake or on the ocean or on the shore, the side of the shore. And so we see Clementine and Lewis scouting this giant ship on the sitting in the river, and you can even see on the right side of Clem's binoculars, you can see one guard like moving Violets on the upper decks of the ship, and it's really interesting to see that. So we don't quite, like, everyone's calling Lily's group the Delta. I don't think that's the name of Lily's group. I just think it's referred to as the Delta, like the River Delta, and so that Lily's this seems to enforce that, scene as how their base is literally a ship in the river. So I'm really looking forward to see, and it's also kind of ironic the more I think about it. Lily's base is on a boat, and that's what Kenny wanted this entire time. He wanted a boat, but Lily's the one that got it. Anyway, the scene then cuts to this quick shot of Clementine and James hiding behind a rock, dodging walkers. This could be a continuation or take place before the screenshot we got a couple weeks ago of Clementine talking to James, who looks really shocked, holding his arm as if he was in pain or got shot. This is strengthened by the next couple of shots in which we see Clementine and AJ talking to James in an area that looks very similarly to the rock place that Clem and AJ were talking in one of the screenshots. You can actually see in this shot of Clem, AJ, and James, behind James is actually what like the smolders of James's campsite from when she and AJ found him after AJ was shot by Abel. So during this scene in which we see a bunch of walkers walking in a shed as well, James says that if you're gonna want his help, that you should try moving with them. And as we see this, we see James pull out his Whisperer mask as if he's giving it to Clem. And so a lot of people were saying that, oh, we're gonna work with James and that we're gonna become Whisperers to infiltrate Lily's base and get Violet/Lewis back. And it seems like that's the case, as we see James here seemingly handing Clementine his walker mask, and then we see James in his Whisperer outfit open this shack that's full of walkers. So it seems as though James has been keeping these walkers, as we know that he uses walkers before. If you remember back in episode 2, James says that he actually led the herd to where Clementine, AJ, Lily, and Abel were, so that the herd would distract Lily and Abel and give Clementine and AJ enough time to escape them and meet up with James. Once that's over, we have this really, really creepy monologue that AJ gives to Clem, in which the first shot we see is of Clementine and AJ looking at Abel, who looks completely terrified of the two of them. We see he actually also has a little burn mark on his cheek from where Clementine burned him with the cigarette, which I totally think is going to be an optional, like, torture choice in regards to that. But anyway, while this is happening, AJ is giving a speech to presumably Clementine, saying that there are 3 kinds of eyes in the world. There's the eyes of the living, which when AJ says this, we see shots of Clementine looking at Lewis, who's smiling at her, hinting at like the choice that players had to romance Lewis in episode 2. And then we see the same thing in right after that with Violet smiling at Clementine inside of her room. So I assume this is if you chose to save Violet and romance her back in episode 2 like I did. So basically AJ saying that how people like Clementine, Violet, and Lewis, their eyes are the eyes of the living. After that, AJ says the second batch of eyes are the eyes of the dead, or no, not the eyes of the monsters, in which we see close-ups of a bunch of walkers inside the shack that James is keeping all his walkers in. And I should point out that this whole time, the choreography of the music score of this trailer is really cool. The fact that the whole trailer, AJ spinning the chamber of his revolver and playing with it, similarly to how he did back in the car with Clem in the beginning of episode 1. And throughout the entire trailer, you can hear AJ spin his revolver and click it like it's like a little beat. And I really appreciate how that diegetic sound as a film major is put into the trailer's music. But anyway, I'm getting off track. And then after that, AJ lists says that the last batch of eyes in the world are those of the living right after you kill them. And which he says that's like a candle going out. And as soon as we see that, we see this quick shot of presumably on Lily's base of this redheaded girl looking really scared, armed with a crossbow, aiming at someone. And then we see a shot right after of Clementine with Lewis beside her holding Marlon's bow, looking really unsure of herself as she aims presumably at this girl with the crossbow. Now, if you've seen leaked concept art posted shortly after Telltale shut down and after episode 2 of the final season was released, you'll know exactly who this is. So if you do not want to be spoiled as to who this girl's identity is, I suggest you skip ahead to, I may put a little time mark in the video here, or, you know what, it's probably better, no, it's probably better if you just skip off the whole video at this point if you don't want to be spoiled anymore, okay? I'm gonna give you guys like 5 more seconds if you want to click off right now. Okay, so if you saw the leaked concept art of for The Walking Dead, the final season, you will know that this girl with the crossbow is actually Minerva, who is, aka, you may know, is one of Ten's older sisters and Violet's former girlfriend. So we got teased that Minerva was alive back in episode 2 when Lily was taunting Violet, Lewis, and Ten to try and get themselves to surrender by saying that she's alive and that she's enjoying her life at Lily's base. We all thought that, well, I thought personally that Lily was making it up and that Minerva was actually dead, but turns out Minerva is alive and well. Jury's still out on Sophie, her sister, but my guess is Sophie's probably dead and Minerva is alive and is a part of Lily's community. So the question is now, how is Minerva being alive going to factor into this story? I think personally that this sets up a really interesting love triangle perhaps between Clementine, Violet, and Minerva if you chose to romance Violet, because obviously Violet thinks Minerva's dead, and if you chose to romance Violet like I did, Violet's gonna feel pretty conflicted if she wants to stay in a relationship with Clem, or if she's gonna want to get back with Minerva, assuming Minerva survives this episode, even. Part of me thinks that Minerva may die at the end of the episode just so that, people who romance Violet don't have to feel like, oh, well, now that Minerva's alive, I guess Violet's gonna dump me. But I think an interesting thing here would be is if, Minerva actually survives, and then the player, as Clementine, has the option maybe saying to Violet, who's torn about whether or not they want to stay with Clem or go back to being with Minerva, you have the option to either say, you know what, you can go stay with Minerva, it's fine, really, you loved her first, it's fine, or you could say, like, you've gone past Minerva, you should stay with me, and so I feel like that may be I think that'd be a really cool choice if you romance Violet like I did in episode 2, and when she comes back here, this happened. But the really interesting thing here is that this shot is shown when AJ is talking about how the third batch of eyes in the world are those of the living as when you kill them. So, is this implying that Clementine will have to kill Minerva at some point? Maybe she'll be a determinate death? Because in a Skybound AMA released a couple weeks back, one of the writers for the final season confirmed that in the response to the fact that there haven't been any determinate deaths so far in the final season, he said there will be determinate deaths, but it won't be like season 1 where if you saved Carly, she would die 2 episodes later. If you saved Nick in episode 2, he would die in episode 4. No, they said that if you save a character, more likely than not, they'll stay alive for the rest of the game. So, I really think that Minerva might be determinant. So, maybe, she thinks, maybe she's fully siding with Lily and is about to maybe go, sound an alarm that will, so that Lily will catch Clementine and all of them, and then maybe you as Clementine have the option to kill Minerva to make sure she doesn't, but the risk of maybe Violet, hating you for killing her ex-girlfriend. I don't know. I'm just super excited to see what Minerva brings to the story of the final season, especially with a possible love triangle between her, Violet, and Clem. With that out of the way, we have our next big shot of the trailer, and it is of Clementine with, James, I believe it's not James. We just see, I thought of Walker was James. So it's just Clementine by herself, but she's talking to someone else, and she says, "Let's go." And as she's covered in blood, armed with Marlin's bow, as she walks towards Lily's base amidst all these other walkers, we actually see a searchlight shining on the walkers as Lily's group gun down the walkers with Clementine and her group walking through them. My guess is that this will be the end of episode 3, in which we go in to break out, Violet/Lewis along with Asim and Omar. This scene also lines up with one of the other screenshots we saw of Clementine hugging Lewis with a searchlight behind them. My guess is maybe we say goodbye to Lewis/Violet, whoever we saved in episode 2, and then before we head out to go try and rescue the person we didn't save. After this scene, we get our final scene of the, well, I shouldn't say final, but one of the final scenes, and it's of Lily smirking at presumably Clementine and AJ inside their base with someone behind her. I thought this was Abel at first, but you can see the red hair behind Lily. This is obviously Minerva with Lily. So, it's at this point we hear an unknown voice say, "The only way you're going to save your people is to let us take them." So, that screams that, I thought this was Lily at first when this was being said, but to me, it doesn't sound like Lily at all. I think this might actually be Minerva talking, so maybe, she's really, unsure of Lily. Maybe she's scared of Lily, and that's why she's been here this whole time, because she's been afraid of running back to the group, even though she could have escaped. So she's trying to say, hey, it's not so bad here, and that if you just listen to what Lily says, you'll be fine. So I feel like Minerva is acting a lot like Reggie did in Season 2, where he was also a prisoner Carver, but he felt that, as long as you just did what you were told, you would be fine. But, of course, we saw how well that ended up for him. But, so, who knows what, this is. But I don't think this is Lily saying this. After that, we have, before the title goes up, we have this one shot of Clementine looking up, and, she looks kind of in pain, as, we don't know what exactly she's looking at, but it's at nighttime, and I feel this is somewhere on Lily's ship. Now, the interesting thing to note here is that I thought maybe, we see her hand on, some sort of railing, hunched over, and then she looks up with, a pained expression at someone or something. My guess is the reason why she's like this is I thought at first maybe she was looking down at someone who just died. That could still very well be the case, but just the way, her facial expression and, the way her body looks and all that, I feel like Clementine might have gotten, shot or something in the stomach, or God forbid she got bit, and she's just, recoiling from the pain of that. That's what I think this scene is. I really hope this isn't that Clem got bit. Maybe she just got, shot in the side with, an arrow or a bullet or something. My guess that maybe it could possibly also maybe be that someone just died. She's looking down at their body before looking up angrily at whoever killed them and shot her. Whatever it is, I'm really excited to see what that's gonna be. And of course, we have our Walking Dead Final Season logo, but there is still one more important scene to pick, and that is this brief 10-second, not even 10-second shot of our first sneak peek at the Lee flashback scene that will appear in this episode. Now, our first tease of this was in the episode 3 teaser trailer, where we heard some of the audio from this scene of Lee talking to Clem about how much the world has changed since he's died. It seems as though that's what will happen as we see Lee step out from the shadows inside the train that he, Kenny, and the rest of the group took in episode 3 of season 1 to try to get to Savannah. We see Lee walk out from the shadows into the light to see where Clementine, now we're talking about season 1 Clem here, not like 17, 18-year-old Clem we have in the final season. We're talking about back to 9-year-old Clem we had in season 1. We see her with her, just like her haircut, a little chubby face, and it's amazing to see how Clementine looks in the, or how season 1 Clementine looks in the art style of the final season. We don't quite see what Lee's face looks like in the final season, but we actually do. If you guys remember how I said how there was supposedly leaked 3D models of what Lee and Clementine were going to look like in a flashback scenario, I actually have those, and Clementine's appearance in this flashback looks very similar to how she looked in the 3D render. So I'm gonna be posting. If you guys don't want to see what Lee is going to look like in the final season, turn away from this video right now. You good? Okay, so here is what the leaked screenshots and renders we have of Lee and Clementine, or season 1 Clem, in the style of the final season. Now, based on the looks that Clem looks like in the trailer and comparing to her render models, I'm pretty sure that the Lee model that was leaked is what Lee is going to look like in the final season. And it's just amazing to see how we had season 1. Season 1 came out 7 years ago. And now here we are, this is what they would have looked like if season 1 came out today. That's incredible, and it kind of makes me wish like we could see all of season 1 and even season 2 redone in that style. That would be great. So of course, once we see Lee walk out to stand beside Clementine on the edge of the train, we hear him say, "Hey, sweet pea," to Clem, and then she just looks up like in kind of like shock or sadness, like as if she doesn't realize she's dreaming. It's very similar to when Clementine woke up in the dream of Lee in episode 5 of season 2, when after she was shot by Arvo, she had the dream of her and Lee in the RV talking about after Duck got bitten. So I am just really excited to see what this scene's like. I feel like it won't be, I don't think it will be like a dream / flashback like it was with season 2, where it was just Lee talking to Clem about everything that happened in season 1. I think this will be more like Lee talking to Clem just about everything she's gone throughout all 4 seasons, instead of just like, oh, hey, we're still going to Savannah. I know it was hard for Duck to lose Duck and Katja, but we got to keep going. I don't think it's gonna be that. I think it's gonna be more like as we saw in the teaser trailer. He said, "Oh, that a lot's changed since I died. You're taking care of your own kid now. It must be pretty tough." So I feel like that seems. We hopefully get a lot of callbacks to seasons 2 and even New Frontier in this scene. I really, really hope we see more of that. Maybe we'll even see a little bit of the McCarroll Ranch in this point. Maybe Lee will ask Clem like, "Oh, do you want to talk about the ranch?" And Clem's like, "I don't want to," but it's like Lee's like, "Oh, well, you have to." And so then we see a little brief flashback to the McCarroll Ranch, or maybe they're playing Skybound's planning to save that for episode 4. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much everything we have about the launch trailer for episode 3. But now we're gonna go ahead and go over the achievements that have been leaked so far for episode 3 and see what we can learn about the plot from them. Alright, it's time to go over the achievements for episode 3, Broken Toys. Now, once again, this is my last spoiler warning for it. This little part of the video will probably just talk about even more spoilers for the final season, though they may not even happen at all, so take these spoilers with a grain of salt. So if you still don't want to be spoiled at all, leave this video at this moment. This is your final spoiler warning if you don't want to see anything. Alright, so here we go. Anyway, so let's start off with the first secret achievement, and that is Best Girl. The description for this achievement is simply just Rosie in all caps with an exclamation point. Now, we've already had 2 of these achievements in episodes 1 and 2. In episode 1, we had Good Girl, which is what you got for letting Marlon show you how to interact with Rosie, and then if you played with Rosie in episode 2, you got the achievement Great Girl. So this achievement, this Best Girl achievement, continues the tradition of playing with Rosie in every single episode. No, the interesting thing about this is that in episode 4, I'm not going to be going over episode 4's achievements right now, but there is no, like, Best Girl or Good Girl achievement in episode 4. So does this mean Rosie will die in episode 3? I'm not sure. I really, really hope Rosie doesn't die in episode 3, but the way that there's no achievement related to Rosie in episode 4, it makes me really, really think that Rosie will die at some point in episode 3, if not in episode 4. On to the next achievement, it is Mercy, and we see a walker with X for eyes, and what looks like I'm trying to get a better look here. It's a walker, and it has like a little like splatter on the left side of it, and the achievement description is "did no harm." Now it's interesting that the achievement is called Mercy, but it shows a walker head. Now I thought at first this achievement would correlate to Abel, so maybe you get this achievement if you don't hurt Abel at all during the interrogation. That could still very well be the case, and maybe just used a walker head to prevent spoilers and all that. But an interesting thing here is a little blood splatter on the side of the walker's head. Maybe this means that no matter what you do, Abel will die and reanimate as a walker, and maybe you get Mercy if you kill Abel when he reanimates as a walker. But that wouldn't be the case then if the achievement description said "did no harm." So I don't know, but for some reason I just feel like this achievement will happen if you don't hurt Abel at all during the torture segment. After that, our next achievement is Nightlight, and it's a picture of a crescent moon with stars in the moon, set with a description saying "made sure they slept tight." Now, I feel like this scene will happen. This scene refers to when probably like the night, like maybe before we go out to rescue Violet and everyone, or Lewis and everyone, if you saved Violet. I feel like we'll just get to interact with everyone and say goodnight to everyone before we leave. So if you get that, this is very similar actually to an achievement in episode 1. It reminds me of the achievement Social Butterfly, where you get that if you talk to everyone before playing the game of cards with Violet, Lewis, and Marlon. So I feel like that'll be the case in here. So it basically just means talk to everyone before you go to sleep or something. After that, our next achievement is All-Seeing, which is a bunch of binoculars, and the achievement description is "let nothing slip by." Now, there are 2 times when I think this achievement could come into play. The first time is what we actually see in the trailer of Clementine and Lewis scouting the Lily's boat, and we saw the guards walking Violet along. That could be when All-Seeing is, or maybe there will be another scouting scene. Maybe like right before we go in and we have to look at stuff. When it says "let nothing slip by," I'm sure there's like a bunch of stuff we can investigate. And if we spot everything like in a certain quick amount of time, that's when we'll get the achievements. After that, we have a really exciting achievement that I'm looking forward to. The achievement description, well, not the description yet. The name of the achievement is "Did You Lick It?" And it's a picture of a mouth with someone's mouth with their tongue sticking out. And the description says "remember the good times." Now, I was confused as to what this meant back when episode 1 came out, but now that we have a confirmation that a Lee flashback / dream is happening, I think I know exactly what this is about. So, for any of you who remember the infamous scene from episode 2 of season 1, when Lee wonders what a salt lick is, and Clementine explains it to him, says not to lick it, it's gross. Lee, of course, asks Clem, "Did you lick it?" To which Clem said, of course, embarrassed that he caught her licking it, says, "I don't know." So, I feel like in our little dream sequence with Lee, we'll have the option to remember that moment, and maybe, like, talk to Lee about that. If not, maybe we'll just talk to someone else and say, "Oh, like, what's the silliest thing you did as a kid?" And Clementine, you as Clementine say, "Oh, I licked a salt lick once," and so maybe that's what this achievement will be. I think that's a really, really cute callback to episode 1, if I'm honest. After that, we've got a kind of a more serious achievement called Personal Space, and it's a picture of someone in a silhouette. I think it's Clementine. Yes, it is Clementine. It's of a silhouette of Clementine surrounded in a white blood splatter, or which is supposed to resemble a circle. The achievement description states "kept your distance," and based on it, I feel like maybe this is like an achievement if you choose not to talk to anyone at some point. Maybe? I'm not quite sure what this achievement is. This one actually has me very confused as to what the tone of this is. Now, one idea got to me in which, during a very, recent AMA in regards to episode 3, one of the writers for episode 3 stated that you will get to know a lot about a certain character if you, agree with their questionable morals or questionable beliefs. So, but I don't quite know if that's what this personal space achievement connects to. that's honestly, I'm really stumped as to what that one is. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below if you think you know what the personal space achievement is. On getting on to our second last achievement, we have As a Mouse, and it's of course a picture of a mouse, and the description is, was very sneaky. Now, of course, this one, I feel, I've thought about this back when episode 1 came out, that this is going to be related to some sort of sneaking stealth segment, and to me, I feel like this will be in regards to when we, actually get onto, Lily's base, onto Lily's ship to try and rescue Louis/Violet, Sim, and Omar. So maybe there will be guards we'll have to take out or avoid, and maybe if we get caught, it will trigger an alarm or something like that. And if we manage to get through without getting caught once, we get this As a Mouse achievement. So, though I don't think that this achievement has, like, changes the story in a big way. Maybe it's like, if you get caught by a guard, you get taken to Lily, and then the scene progresses. Or if you don't get caught, you might get a little bonus scene, and then where you actually rescue Violet or Louis, only to get maybe caught by Minerva or someone who runs in, and they sound the alarm, and you get taken to Lily. Maybe that's what that's about. And then for our final achievement, it is called Tally, and it is of course of a tally mark, and the description is Counted the Days. Now, I feel like this scene implies to me a lot something about imprisonments, because a lot, you know, how like prisoners usually like tally how long they've been in prison for. So maybe this will be a moment where Clementine and her group get captured by Lily, and so maybe when you're exploring like your jail cell, so you'll have the option to like make a tally mark as to how many days you've been in, and so once you do that, you'll get this achievement. Either that, or maybe when you're at the Erickson school, because it's been about maybe 3 weeks since the season started. This whole season's taking place over the course of 3 weeks. Maybe it'll be like that, where you get to like draw in your room how many days has been since you've joined the Erickson school community. That's as far as I think. And so that wraps it up for my little everything you need to know about video on The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 3, Broken Toys. We are exactly 1 week away from the release date of the second last episode of the entire Walking Dead series, which will premiere on January 15th, next week, for Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC exclusively through the Epic Game Store. Are you guys excited for finally getting episode 3? If you are, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.